I feel good, man.
Fucking right.
Get out, still been working, but I've been working from home, so it's not too bad. And then just getting out and riding a bike, trying to cope with some of the health issues that I'm dealing with. I feel like a lot of it, like my asthma and sinuses, is just seasonal, but the anxiety is amplified by the
I was about to ask you that. I wonder how many people are getting sick because of the collective paranoia that's going on. How much of the psychosomatic is amplifying the actual? Because I know my mind makes things worse oftentimes, and only because of this effort, continual effort, do I feel centered, and not like I'm getting swept up in the wave of panic and fear. But I wonder, man, how much of that is.
See, it seems though, I mean, just looking at how testing's working down here, I think at some point, bro, it was like 40% of the people they were actually using the corona test kits for were testing positive. So it seems like the healthcare professionals are really filtering that shit out. And they also like they have these lines set up. So I think if people are feeling that, I mean, they're probably calling these, nurses or doctors or whoever it is that's filtering these cases and just letting them know, nope, doesn't sound, nope, yeah, just relax.
Right.
But I bet you people are experiencing those symptoms, bro. Because I mean, you think about a dry cough, and even I was reading something where they were saying because so many people are asymptomatic or they're just not having the same extreme like dramatic symptoms as other people who you hear about the cases that you hear about on the news. Like it could be anything from like, oh, my nose, like I sneeze. I saw like an article that said that like it could start off with just a sneeze. Initially it's like the symptoms that they focus on if you look up coronavirus is like dry cough, fever, um trouble breathing, shortness of breath. Then I read this article and I'm like, oh, you could just have a sneeze. And, you could be one of those people who experience really mild symptoms.
Right.
And I bet you that's just, yeah. Reading something like that, man, you definitely like, oh shit, I'm paranoid. But
It's
people
kind of
who I
like
talk with,
HIV.
yeah, no, it is in a sense of it's the like with viruses, the symptoms are very similar.
Yeah.
And then not only are viral symptoms similar to like, other viruses, so like the flu, HIV, corona, like they have some similarities, but then of course there's overlap with just seasonal allergies
Seriously.
or you know what I mean,
Though I was
just
thinking like
bronchitis or whatever. So
it sucks right now for people who just get sick around this time.
yeah, because you like, what the fuck. That
Right.
I think those are the people, bro, who are going in and just, yeah, you getting checked out, and then they letting them know, all right, you good, keep it moving. Um, but well, it would suck if you one of those people. You go and you get checked out, and then you leave. I went to the grocery store, and now I
That's
actually
what
got
I was thinking
checked,
too. Like
right?
when they
And
get
it's like,
checked,
what the fuck?
the,
I
the,
done used my one chance.
exactly.
Now
They
I
get the
just feel like
corona.
a paranoid asshole. So it's yeah, bro. It's like all you can hope for at this point, man. I know that they're like I think Trump has used like some or is in the process of using some wartime act to ramp up the production of like ventilators. I know that a lot of people or businesses are trying to work towards some treatment, and then, you hope that a vaccine will come, but right now a vaccine wouldn't help. Like you need people to be calm by the fact that, all right, if I do contract this infection, I can be treated. And then down the line, then a vaccine to bring some comfort once people know that the rate of new infections has decreased.
Right,
It's
right.
just crazy, bro. That's why it's like just chill at home if you can,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. And my hope, my hope is that we can have a serious collective discussion. It's not going to happen, but we can have a serious collective discussion about death itself. I would love that. I would love for us all to now just take inventory of our lives and what we've thought about, what we've dedicated our energy towards up until now, and then we can all decide: are we really living our best lives? It goes. I guess the my interest used to be: are we happy? Am I happy? And the answer was no. Now I can honestly say, when I ask myself that question, am I happy? I am happy, or as happy as I can be, all things considered. But now what I would like, though, is just a kind of ironclad perspective, even if I never actually have it with any kind of permanence. But that bro, because leading up to this, before this, I'm still astonished by people's self-absorption, their inconsideration, their selfishness. And I feel like the coronavirus has just brought it, showing people's true colors. I typically have a problem with the way that people use true colors, because it's just when, if you, no matter how awesome you are or whatever, you have a bad day, all of a sudden that's your true colors. Like, not necessarily,
Right.
just because you're off on this one. But no, the true colors of their humanity, and it's selfish, it's inconsiderate, it's just it lacks any kind of admirable reasonability. And so what I wish, man, I wish that we could talk about this, and because this will probably go away eventually, even if it lasts for some time.
Yeah.
And what is going to happen? Are we going to go back to business as usual, or just similar to Kobe Bryant's death, bro? Like Kobe's Bryant's death. I was like, yo, are we waking up?
Bro, I think we might go back to business as usual with a slight increase in our appreciation for government, and
Oh,
maybe not, you know, people not do wild shit like elect an idiot like Trump. Like, you know what I'm
right.
saying? Like,
I wonder what
understand
the
that
spin is
an
on
election
that.
has consequences. You need to have competent people who trust the science community, trust, you know, advisors who don't have like these very narrow, business or financial incentives, right?
Right.
Uh,
Yeah.
um, or concerns. So I hope that we at least come out with that. Because the other thing, man, when you look at it, I mean, like one, I think people are still just trying to maintain some sense of like things are still gonna work, things are still functioning. So like they're trying to work from home, they're trying to do all of these things to just occupy this space
Hmm.
instead of spending a little time reflecting, you know,
Right.
or engaging in like conversations about death, about mortality, you know, and some of these things are gonna naturally come up, but yeah, from what I don't really see it happening based off
Yeah.
my engagement with people. And my engagement is right now with most people is about work.
Yeah. How
Seems
can
that
we
that's just the focus.
still work? How can we make this shit happen? Yeah. And and that's not surprising. I was in slumber for a season, for the past months, ever since the holidays up until like now. I feel like I took a break, or I tried to. I wanted to stop caring about the collective mentality, and I was like, you know what? I can't control people. Just the ripple effect. Be the change I want to see in the world, and I still believe in that. It's just now I look at these, I guess, and it's really so genuine, bro. Like this be an opportunity to me. Like, hey, y'all, like this is an opportunity to start to kind of rub off the fog off the lenses, and perhaps we can now be a little bit more appreciative, not take things for again, bro. I gotta go back to Kobe's Bryant death. That shit was so startling and surreal, and it just showed you how anybody could be the next candidate for tragedy. And we all sort of like we're saying that, acknowledging that. Now the coronavirus is something that's way more out of our control, even though there's still a relative amount of control on our part that we could do to avoid it. Now, though, this is not so much, hey guys, let's not take things for granted. It's more of the panic and hysteria that is overwhelming, and that I think is preventing any kind of shoot, I want to say conducivity. Fuck it.
Okay. Yeah.
Conducivity to actual conduciveness to conversation that are deep. Because I saw, you know David Goggins. I saw this one little clip where he was talking, where he was just saying,
Was he sitting on his couch?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, bro. I watched that one, bro. That dude funny, man.
and I was,
My man, I just like the comments, bro. The coronavirus. It called the David Goggin in this forum. Bro, that dude just sitting on his couch. You can tell he following the rules.
right.
But my man is like, hype.
Exactly. No, exactly, man. And I was like, but and I wanted to just be like, and it's not even a competitive thing, but I was like, man, I already do that when he was talking about use this time to do this and to do that. I was like, but I was more like, hell yeah, man. I feel like he's a kindred spirit because he always saying the things that I already feel, and it's just like I'm glad somebody's saying it and is out there like professing these tenets and being like, yo, reflect, go into the darkness, challenge yourself, don't just distract. Because what people are doing right now is with their recreational time, they're trying to find a way to entertain themselves, and that's
Bro, the
another.
internet is about to be like overextended, man. I mean, people are like just streaming, you know?
Yeah,
Um, yeah, that could be one of those rumors, but just when you think about, bro, people are just like trying to consume as much shit as possible and just, yeah, distract themselves, bro. And part of it is, also people are probably streaming the news. They're doing all of this shit, this type of just being a little too overly consumed with just like the hysteria, right?
yeah,
But it's all a form of distraction.
right.
And nobody's, I mean, I feel like we just got to carve a bit more time out just to really, yeah, to take inventory of where you are in your life, how you might want to come out of this, how precious life is, how fragile we are, you know,
Yes, how fragile we are.
right?
Yeah, do
How fragile civilization is,
how
bro.
fragile
I mean,
civilization.
look at how supply chains haven't been disrupted, so you can still get food, you can still get all of these things. Yet people are still finding a way to hoard and to like overconsume in a way where you can destate. Like if we were in a situation where supply chains were truly disrupted, bro, people would just be losing it.
Bruh, I'm
Oh.
telling you, I'm
Like not
saying,
knowing how to, all right, let me like be reasonable about this. Let me try. All right, I'm at home, right? Do I
yeah.
really need to buy all of this shit to consume? Like, do I need to eat as much as I generally do when I'm out and about and I'm exercising, I'm doing all of these things? Probably not. Do I need to wipe my ass more than usual?
You know what I'm saying?
Probably not. But using up all the toilet tissue.
That shit is
Uh,
especially bewildering to a lot of people. And I can go on. That is especially irrational considering that toilet paper carries you. I am not at all as, perhaps I should be more, reserved with the amount that I, use. But I used probably too much toilet paper and it still lasts for months a pack. It still lasts a good amount of time.
Yeah,
And,
all the free seashells, bro.
yeah, yeah, I saw somebody comment about the seashells too, bro. And I
Nobody
thought
remembers demolition, man. It was such a
that's when it's really fucking the
yeah.
future. When we got something that's what's funny? I wonder to say, bro, why isn't this country, if this was more of a bidet country, what would be, that's interesting that we don't mess with bidets and the rest of the world tends to, or a good amount of the world tends to, in Europe and stuff. Maybe that's where, maybe this is going to spark innovation and interest in non-toilet paper usage, or less. But I also want to say is fucking, I hope a James, based off everything you were saying, my reaction to that is like a James Bond-esque villain. I hope they aren't born from this. That's my paranoia. Seeing how people are reacting to this and how it's like you can extrapolate from what people are doing right now just based off of a virus that is affecting a good amount of people, but it's not like
Oh yeah, biological warfare, bro. That is like, man, it's somewhat antiquated, right? Because people did this during like the plague. You know what I mean?
right, right.
Let me catapult a body like a dead a corpse, person who died from the plague,
That's some wild shit to think about.
right? But it's like, man,
Yeah,
how somebody could really cook something up in the lab, and you look at how we travel, how we communicate, how we, you know, I mean, when you think about just the amount of land mass we have in this world and how little we might occupy, and how close we live amongst each other, bro. It's crazy how quickly this spread throughout the world.
yeah, it is crazy how
It's
quickly it spread.
insane, man. If you think about like if somebody were to I don't know, you know, taint the waters our water supplies or something like that. I mean, yeah, it's wild.
It'd be The Walking Dead damn near
Yeah,
instantly.
man.
Because one thing about those shows, those post-apocalyptic shows, is that I like the commentary about how, when if shit hits the fan, humans will show their fucking true colors, or we will uh, drastically change for the worse for the sake of survival. And so that seems to be just getting a whiff of that with the coronavirus. I can see that. I can already just, I could tell they would get rid. The one comment was like, I got enough. I read with a country accent. Perhaps this is so insulting, but he was like, I got enough food, water, and ammunition for a year. Let it come. Let it do what it do, or something like that. And I was like, that ammunition is what killed. We got enough ammunition, huh? Gotcha,
Right,
gotcha.
right.
You ready to shoot some motherfuckers up, huh? Word, man. That's what I mean. Hey, you might have to. But I think some people are eager. They're eager for this shit to collapse because they want this world to be the Wild Wild West. Because again, man, this country, bro. There ain't no damn true harmony. There's no, there's no oneness with Americans. There's one group of people that has fucking. They have the monopoly on patriotism and shit. You can't even be proud
Yeah,
of being an American without being a Republican,
right,
or being on board for every military intervention,
right.
and it's all out of whack. We this world this world needs a hero. Need
And
somebody. No, we need a.
it's
No.
Joe Biden.
He's the one.
We know Joe.
That's frustrating.
No
Say, bro,
Joe.
can I just no?
Yeah.
Is Joe Biden losing it though, bro? Like, dog, it really does freak me out. The gaffes he makes, because like, is his mental health? Is it
But
just?
he was known for making
Oh,
those
he's known
gaffes,
for
like
that.
for years. Like that was his thing. Like
Okay, that makes me
he
feel
would
better.
make these gaffes. He would get ahead of himself. I mean, even remember with Obama and gay marriage, bro. Like
Yeah,
Joe Biden was the one that basically forced Obama to come out with it because during an interview, Joe Biden got in his with the momentum.
yeah,
Like, of course, everybody should be able to marry. Marry whoever you want. And it's like, oh shit. I said we wasn't ready for that one, Joe.
right,
So
right.
that's just his thing. But I know what you're saying with the whole. You mean like the gaps in what he's like, when he's trying to make the coherence, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of the
Yeah.
mistakes he makes seems like when he just was saying, "We hold these truths to be self-evident," and he's like, the rest. Like, I don't know if you saw that mistake he made when he was quoting the first line of was it Declaration of Independence?
Yeah,
When
I don't, bro. I'll say this, man. I know that people make a lot of it. I think that dude has been like that though, bro. It's
No,
just
I
he's
don't doubt
never
it. I don't
received
know.
this much attention. Because he
Right.
never was, even when remember, it was Hillary and Obama, right?
He's not eloquent.
Yeah, he was never that dude.
Right.
He wasn't even seen as a viable candidate. The reason that he is now is because he was Obama's vice president, right?
Right.
And his long, like he had been in the Senate for, I don't know how many years. Um, so I think that's just not that dude's strong suit, like getting up there
Right.
and making speeches, bro, and doing it at the rate that you have to do it
Yes. Yes.
as a presidential candidate. I feel like Bernie, his politics, right,
Yeah.
is more conducive to that. More easily that skill set he's developed that because even when he was in the Senate, he was always raging against the machine. He was always making these long speeches, right?
Right. Right. Right.
Because he was oftentimes in contention with both Republicans and Democrats, and he was always fighting. So for him, like that works. Biden was probably more to do like, talk to this one on the side, talk to that one in like the closed door meetings, that type of deal, and then like go home to Pennsylvania every so often because he was in the Senate, in Congress for so long. You get to the point where you don't even have to campaign.
Yeah.
You just, show up. Look, this is what I'm doing. This is what I've been doing. These are the bills that I passed. Re-elect me. Done.
Now that makes
And yeah, and
sense.
then age, with age, you're gonna have some attrition there, bro.
That's my,
It's
but
a
that's
stamina thing too.
it,
That's what
yeah, but
I
that's
think
the
about is the stamina. Even if it isn't like like you don't have to be suffering from dementia just to be tired.
very, very true. But that's why like Bernie seems to have that energy for the, and even for
Right.
the reason that you say. That's why I want the person with stamina, man.
No, I
I
feel you. You need that right now,
yeah,
given like the political climate that we're in and how divided the country is.
yeah,
Like, makes sense to look at what we got. We got Trump. I feel
exactly.
like a polar opposite is better, bro, because the Democrats already went with the down the middle of the road, Hillary Clinton, comfortable, moderate candidate, and you lost to Trump. Now, Trump is a bit more vulnerable right now, but man, now that he's in power, you don't know how he might ratchet that shit up,
Yeah.
how he might intensify his rhetoric to really get people on his side. You know what I mean? Like you
Oh
just
yeah,
don't
man.
know how he's going to use the
Especially
bullets.
how is he going to use this current situation? Or I mean, I guess,
Yeah, yeah,
and he's acting as if he apparently posted a tweet and deleted it, talking about how he wouldn't give the $1,000 to the people that said hashtag not my president. He wouldn't want to offend them, right? And you're like, but my thing is, he's acting as if like daddy's gonna give a present to you guys. Like I'm giving y'all. It's like he's the one doing it. It's out of his fucking pocket. Like he's
right,
doing it out the kindness of his heart. He's this benevolent motherfucking dictator.
right,
Take like you. I ain't trumping the one that I'm giving you the money. And even though you all have spited me, I, your king, bestow
right.
upon you. Like fuck you, man.
Yeah,
No, it's like
and how's that gonna look as time progresses, bro? How might he try to use Congress as a puppet to get certain things done? Like, hey, you know what? Everybody's concerned about Corona. Maybe we need to defer some of these, defer the election.
yeah,
Let's hold off on that. And he doesn't have that power to do it, bro. But you have congressional power.
he
He
has that
has the
influence.
courts are packed now.
Yes,
He's been
yes,
very effective with that. Like you don't really know how susceptible we are right now to that type of authoritarian those tactics.
yeah,
I don't think people fully appreciate that, man. Because you got enough people who are moderate or like batshit crazy conservative. And that's the thing. I mean, this country is a conservative country because even the moderates are conservative. We don't have like a true left. On top of that, bruh, people are fucking scared
yeah,
of everything.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
And the people who are scared, but in a way where they're not complicit, are the folks on his side. Like he said, I got the Second Amendment people on my side. So they have fear, but it's like, oh, I'm fear of the government takeover. Like you said, the dude, I got my guns and I got my food and all that shit.
yeah.
So it's bro, I don't know what's gonna come of this, man. I don't know how long this is gonna last. I don't know how this is going to impact us economically, and that's going to really determine like decisions that people make. You know,
Right.
they're going to be guided by that. You're going to have more fear to step out of line with certain unions, with certain, you got the census happening during all of this, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, how might that impact that? I can't even fathom that, but I think about people who are worried about their citizenship or their status, right? Like I don't know. And where might they cut some resources and say, let's not send as many people here to do that, or let's not have as many polls open in this area. You know what I mean? So that's the voting thing. You got census, like you just have so much at stake this year, bro. And to have a crisis like this and to have him at the helm, man, it's risky.
Yeah, to say the
And to
least.
have a bunch of people who are truly scared of everything.
That's why there needs to be, where's the anchor? Can we find it, or are people just in the dark with their hand flailing about looking for the chains, man? Like seriously. I don't think we have any anchors. I, I don't anchor to what? Anchor to reality, to reasonability. There's I I hunger so much for some kind of unity that's based off of an agreed upon sort of belief system where we're all agreeing to like, hey, life is short, life is unpredictable. Things like the coronavirus will happen. Things even worse than that will happen individually, collectively. So, in the meantime, in between time, what do we care about? What should we care about? How should we even think? Are we even thinking? And the whole harmony of it all, the trying to be the best versions of ourselves, all the cliche shit that's I think has become just it's lost its power, man. Like now, because I think people are seeing the physics of success, and
Right.
the physics of success don't ethics aren't required,
Yeah.
mindfulness isn't required, fucking goodness isn't required.
Yeah.
And so they're like harmony, authenticity, vulnerability, transparency, none of
No.
the honesty.
Yeah.
This shit is not required.
No.
So
Pursue your own interests, pursue your own ends, greed, that's where it's at.
100%.
Um, like just do that at all costs.
At all costs.
Fuck everybody else.
And
Yeah.
the likes will set you free. The admiration, the envy, as long as you rub elbows with the right people, like all this.
Yeah. If you had to plan out the next month, what would you do for people, for society?
For people,
And we can focus on the states, but I mean, this is applied globally. Just think about that. Like, what would you what would you encourage people to do
oh my
to
God,
weather
like
the storm?
just to weather the storm. What pops in my heart and my soul right now is, to be honest, bruh, to play this game of sorts, treat like a thought experiment or just a conversational social experiment. Let's all assume that it's a high likelihood that most of us are gonna die, right? So, what would we say to each other as our last sort of will and testament? What would come off my heart? Like,
Yeah.
what do you want to confess to the people around you? What do you
Yeah.
want to unload off your spirit?
Right.
And just have like basically just a bunch of group therapy sessions, dog.
Yeah,
Motherfucker,
yeah.
just-
So group therapy, like people within their homes.
yes.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. A lot of exorcisms, bruh. A lot of exorcisms, man. Like, obviously, not the superstitious kind. I'm talking about that good old, psychological, intellectual, even the spiritual. Like, just
Right.
saying, like, hey, like, so all, like, I love y'all, and I'm this kind of person, I'm that kind of person. What have you always wanted to say that you haven't said to it? Like,
Yeah.
just get shit off your chest.
And
Like,
with those, particularly with those people close to you, but given the amount of technology that we have, I mean, you can communicate with your close friends, you could communicate with your family, you know. I mean, you could do it in a way right now, bro, which is wild. You know, they didn't have this during the Spanish flu. We're talking on Skype.
Yeah.
There's an icon right here with a video recorder. If I just hit that bad boy, I could see you right now. You can
Yeah.
see me, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like that.
Yeah.
Using that for good,
Use it for good, huh?
right? You know,
Yeah.
take this time like to be stable and like consume like thoughtfully, you know,
Yeah.
not just I don't know hoard shit, not be obsessed with like getting out to get stuff because I feel like that's what it's crazy, bro. Because we have this culture where it's go go go. So you got people who are still trying to find a way to creatively work and matter. Like
Right.
even though your work actually doesn't matter much, the people who
Yes.
matter are forced to go out. The people who are stocking the shelves, the
Mm-hmm.
people who are providing healthcare services. We see right now in this type of pandemic, they matter a lot, you know. And then many
Yeah.
of us just have like peripheral jobs that support that. Um, and less. I feel like, man, if you consume like consciously, you know what I mean? You take some measures to be healthy, that reduces the burden on those people being respectful of their time. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
When you have to go into a store, don't run over them. You know, to grab that last pack of Charmin.
Yeah.
You know, or don't allow yourself to get so overly anxious that you're just running to the hospital because you're paranoid, right? And they're trying to actually aid people who are truly sick, and I mean whose symptoms are like pretty dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
Like take this time to you know this time to be with those who live with you. Stay inside as much as you can. If you need to get out, you know, get some fresh air. Like that's what I'm trying to do. And then spend some time reading, spend some time reflecting, spend some time talking to friends and family, man. And come out of this with some sort of think about a plan for growth over the next month. You know,
Yeah.
like
Plan
you
for
said, like
growth.
what do you want to unleash, but also now what do you want to consciously and thoughtfully consume?
Mm-hmm.
You know, intellectually, spiritually. What do you want to do? Do it. You have some time and space to do it. And let's give each other that time and space to do it as well. Don't stress people out, having these unreasonable expectations for them to just do shit, you know, to
Right.
do unnecessary bullshit work or anything like that. Let's not put that stress on each other. The world is stopping and we're being forced to. All right, take advantage of it. And then respect those people who have to still go out, who are basically on the front lines trying to ensure that we maintain some stability and have the essentials, and then also are in good health.
Right.
And then let's come out of this stronger, you know?
Let's come out of this stronger. 100%. And have you thought about death lately? Will you think about it after? Death is, I guess, my new man. You know, the four pillars of happiness: adequate sleep, adequate nourishment, adequate physical activity, and healthy conversations slash fulfilling relationships. That was something I would just uh, talk about all the time because I thought it was just so important at a particular chapter in my life. And now I think in this chapter, death, like, and obviously that's been something of interest for years, but I really I want us to all. I would be happy, no matter how people behave, if they really, really, really had a crash course, not even a crash course, a submersion in the reality of that we're all going to die, and I don't think we. I'm trying to figure it out right now as I'm talking. I feel like it's not healthy at all, actually, that death is not a subject that is that is talked about in this, covering all angles of it, is just admitting how scared we are that I don't want to die, I don't want to die, I don't want to die. Admitting that it doesn't have any place in the informing of our behavior towards each other. And I've noticed it definitely makes me a more positive person than I would otherwise be, especially at some times that are trying. A lot of people, when I'm at work, I wish I had the time to really tell them, it's, bruh, seriously, and it's not even me tooting my own horn, but it's on some Peter, be prepared, book of Peter, be prepared to give an account of the hope that people see within you. And he was referring to that hope that comes from the Christian beliefs. But a lot of times some people will be like, why, like, how come you're always in such a good mood? And it's not even that I'm in a good mood, or how come you're always so positive? And I've been asked by several people, and I want to tell them, I'm like, y'all ain't ready, not ready because they can't handle it, but it's a lot to say, and we don't have the time. Or rather, this is not the context, and I just can't. I do it a disservice by just giving you some talking points, oversimplifying. But in all reality, it's so many things, and one of those things is death. My point is, one of the reasons why I have any kind of positivity that is abnormal or energy that's abnormal is because death is there, like, in my mind, and sadness is there. Like constantly, like Cornel West talks about being a blues man. Like, I feel that more than ever. Like, I get it. Like, I try to make contact with sadness as much as I can and let it do its work within me as much as I can. And I'm grateful for that, because I want all the colors on the palette. And I feel like it helps you. And I feel like, yeah, you're never going to be ready. Or most of us are never going to be ready. I don't think I'm ever going to be ready. But I think it would help way more than it would hurt, is my feeling about it, if we are honest and authentic about it. Because it's not as if it's this fictitious thing, this monster in the closet that's not real, and that like, if it's real. And
how could somebody start? Like, where would they start to reflect on death, their mortality, how integral it is to this human experience?
Where would somebody start? I would say taking, dude, I feel like circumstances like Kobe Bryant's death are they're potentially a springboard. Like, whether it's 9/11, Kobe Bryant's death, the bombing of this or that, when you hear about a genocide or whatever, or just even individual, not so topical things where, like, just some kid, like, I read an article where a child, I remember this one kid in Florida scraped his knee, then he contracted some kind of bacterial infection, he died. I remember when some kid in Kentucky or Tennessee at the airport, he was 8 years old, a sign fell on his head and he died. I purposely allowed those things to help me remember how tragic life is. See, I guess I feel this tension and this fix. I realize, like, God, I have this, I call it the holy man. It's a holy man syndrome, or holy man paranoia is what I'm terming it. I feel like when I start talking like this, it comes off as very holier than thou, and very like, I'm gonna come to this place of enlightenment where you recognize death, and it sounds like bullshit. It sounds like just like it's impossible, or it's unlikely that a person really does this. They can really help you. But it really does give me perspective when I see children's death and stuff, and when I focus on it. It really makes me realize that this shit is all temporary, and existence is cruel, and which is one of the first tenets of Buddhism. Life is suffering. I feel like to come to the conclusion, to see the reality that this mother ever is so disturbingly unfair for so many people, and you're really just lucky. I guess being objective about this is how one could first approach it. Just an honest consideration, an honest analyzation of existence itself. Just acknowledging that people die for no good reason. And so where does that leave you, who so far has had enough good luck that you haven't? And where do you go from there? Are you exempt? Are you just blessed? Do you think it won't happen to you or it couldn't happen to you? And I think answering that honestly, and then seeing that, because even when I answer it honestly, and I'm like, no, it could, I still will go and behave as if death is not gonna
What?
come
How
to
does
me.
that behavior like that when you feel like you're not acknowledging death? What does that look like, or what does that feel like? How do you what do you define that as?
It's similar to getting out of a really good Bible class. I remember in the past, I'd feel so spiritually fulfilled, or even when I was into the scripture, I'd read some scripture, and then I'd be like, oh man, like I feel so cleansed, so holy, so
Hmm.
connected, and I would feel pure. It's a sense of purity. It's this this feeling, this empowered feeling, this internal cleansing. It's tough. It's like, how do you define the feeling of being in love? Like, we all assume that we all feel the same degree of love, intensity of love when we're in love, or I know what it feels like to be in love. But okay, yeah, I'm sure we all know what it feels. Most of us know what it feels like, but it's still different, and it might vary. Like, and it might manifest itself internally for in a different way for different reasons. And so it's tough to explain that feeling, but it's there, and it goes away so easily because it all goes away so easily. Feelings, man. Again, it's the holy man paranoia. It's so, no matter how good the feeling, no matter how bad the feeling, it's so transient, and it goes away. And I feel, to try to answer your question, I think it's something that's not noticeable sometimes until you gather yourself again. Like getting in a fight with a loved one, I
Hmm.
feel I lose my perspective of death in that moment when the person becomes my enemy, and I'm
Hmm.
tired, they're tired, and we're not saying things that are that are 100% sensible and
Yeah.
that really solve the problem. To me, just mathematically, quote unquote, I feel like I've lost my perspective of death in that moment, because if I had it when I have it, it helps bring me back to, like, it'll cross my mind even for a second, like, you know, we're all gonna die, kids died. It's there. It's difficult to explain with the feeling of it.
Yeah. For me, man, thinking about my impact on other people when I feel like I'm getting upset about stuff that is just in the grand scheme of things don't really matter all that much, you know.
Yeah.
And I guess when I say in the grand scheme of things, like I'm really thinking about my sustenance and my ability to just live a good and healthy, mentally and physically healthy life. Like
Right.
when I lose sight of all of that and I get caught up with some of the other, just trappings of this world, like winning an argument or being right or just consuming things that I don't need, just for some temporary pleasure and not being
Yeah.
very aware of um, like that the influence that I have on other people and then also how it might be harming me. Um, I feel like that's when I'm like really losing that perspective. But really, that influence that I have on other people, I think that and when I say influence, it's like just long term. If I
Hmm.
were to die in that moment, what's the last memory that they have of me, or how would they remember me? I
Right.
just think that that matters because that legacy, man. When I think about the people close to me who have died, like what are my memories of them? You know, what are the memories of my grandmother? The fact that she was here for 34 years of my life, and I've spent nearly a year, not quite, without her. Like, what are my thoughts about her? You know,
Yeah.
what foundation did she provide for me? And what am I missing out on as a result of her dying? And then like, how am I paying that forward? You know, what foundation do I provide for other people, or what influence do I have on their lives? I want it to be positive, and I feel like when I don't think about death, yeah, I forget about that, you know,
Right.
and it's really just about me. When at the end of the day, my exuberant like pleasure doesn't matter because it doesn't add much and it doesn't result in me living any longer.
Mm. Mm.
You know, like I am
Yeah.
gonna die, and that's just it. So I need to make this ride as harmonious as possible. Um, do the best I can by people who are also well intentioned. Um, you know, I think there always is room for conflict, but only in the sense of fighting for what's right. If something or someone is a threat, you
Yes.
know, a
Yes.
threat one to you in a way that not a threat like in something superficial like you being right or wrong, but just your ability to fully enjoy like fully um experience like this life in a peaceful environment, right? Or someone who is harming those who are weaker, right?
Right.
Or imposing their will on other people. There's always time for, or you need to have space for conflict to fight those struggles. But um, yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like, you know, in addition to no understanding that it can happen at any moment, like you know, when you refer to like kids being dying or being killed, or like the Kobe Bryant example. Also, just man, when you think about the people that have passed away, man, like when you really think about the fact that they're no longer here and they may have had such been such an important presence in your life, and they're just gone.
Yes.
Like that's wild, you
That
know.
is wild.
It's
It's
hard to
so
wrap your
wild.
head around it, and like you get through these seasons of despair. And I don't know if we do it in a way where we truly felt that the bitterness of it, the cold, right? I feel
Right.
like we fully experienced that winter. We find a way to kind of dance around it or compartmentalize. But man, if you just think about that in a deep way, like those folks who you truly loved and were so important to just your formation, and provided like this foundation for you to walk on, and they're now gone. But they left you something, right? Or they created something that's still sustaining you.
Yeah.
And knowing that you can do that for others and that you are doing that for others. So every engagement that you have with other people is that powerful and that meaningful. Meaningful. I think maintaining that perspective, man. You could like seek that harmony, and at the same time like be mindful of the fact that you won't be here someday, and you know some of the other superficial shit like let it go to the wayside, man. I'm not gonna trip about that, because I'm good.
Yes.